I'm Alex C. with Bird Law Group. Welcome back to another edition of Bird's Eye View. We are here today with our guest, Sarah Flack. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So tell me a little bit about you, and I know you just recently stepped out and started your own firm.
I did, yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that, like how you got there and what made you decide to do that.
Yeah, so I'm a former prosecutor. I started my career as a prosecutor in Fulton County, trying all sorts of craziness, and then left doing criminal defense, and then really wanted to get into personal injury. Had sort of like many people, a life-changing kind of moments in 2020 where I was able to, for the first time, like sit and think about what I really wanted to do. And I missed trying cases, obviously, and I just felt like criminal, it was just too much, mentally, emotionally, and really wanted to kind of start doing PI, and so was able to do that. Started at Bader Scott and was there for a little over 2 years, right at 2 years, and then left and started my own practice now doing personal injury. So it's been a journey. It's been a journey.
Yeah, no, I bet. Wow, starting out as a prosecutor, I assume you saw a lot.
Oh yeah, I prosecuted all sorts of stuff. I learned under Fonnie Willis, prosecuted Cat Williams, the comedian.
Oh wow.
Begrudgingly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was definitely a time.
I bet. Wow. I interned in the prosecutor's office when I was in undergrad in Clark County in Athens. And I just remember sitting through a murder trial and thinking, I'm not made for this.
Yeah.
I just knew that it was, like you said, it was heavy.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
It really was.
I didn't get to meet anybody famous like Cat Williams.
No?
We just got to sit down on the trial with the guy that had like lit his girlfriend on fire and rolled her down a hill. I know.
Athens has some crazy stuff. They just had a really awful, tragic case there.
Right, the nursing student.
Yeah, I was privy to that. That was awful.
Me too. I mean, I lived in Athens for 7 years. I did undergrad at Georgia and law school at Georgia, and I used to feel like Athens was, I don't know, the most safe place ever, right? Because you stay in your little UGA bubble, or at least I did. But then, these things that have been happening down there.
I tried a case there, right? The first case I tried after COVID, and it was an armed robbery.
Wow.
On campus. So it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
The facts of that case. So who knew?
Gosh, I know. Be careful at UGA.
Seriously.
What have some of the challenges been in starting your own firm?
I think the hardest thing is I'm a mom, so I've got an almost 3-year-old, a three-nager, and
Same.
Okay, so you know the struggle. Yes,
I do.
But it's like amazing and all the things, but it's scary when you've got someone depending on you. I mean, my husband obviously was very supportive, but leaving a comfortable, I mean, my experience at Bader Scott was lovely. It was, I left on great terms. I'm still actually handling cases with them. So it's like, it's almost harder to leave someplace that is good to you.
Yeah.
And so, but I knew it wasn't where I was needing to be and what my passion was and what I've always wanted. And so taking that leap of faith, I think, was the hardest. Right. Deciding to do it, jumping.
I remember that jump, and I felt the same way. I didn't have a three-nager at the time. My husband and I we had just been dating, and Bill told me he was retiring, and I went home that day, and I was like, you know what, babe, I think I want to take over the firm. And he's like, okay. He's like, maybe we should call like a lawyer who does these business things, or how long do we have to think about it?
That's funny.
I'm like, he wants proposals by the end of the week. And so it moved very quickly.
Wow.
Very quickly. And then we got engaged, found out we were pregnant, bought a house, got married. It was just like, let's just do it all. And,
why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
That is so cool, and it's obviously worked out.
It did. It feels like it's just been a path that I have been on consciously, but also kind of subconsciously, if that makes sense, because I just come in and do what I love every day.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah, but the three-nager thing, man, I was late getting here this morning. This morning, our fight was that she had left a mess in the living room last night because she was with her dad. I was coaching high school mock trial last night, and I got up this morning and I hadn't gone in the living room last night. And I'm like, your toys are everywhere, you didn't clean up. And she's like, Mommy, I want to watch Diana and Roma. It's one of her shows on YouTube Kids. I'm like, no, I'm not turning the TV on until you pick up your toys. She cried and threw a fit and went and got my husband for, she didn't stop crying for 15 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Like the tenacity.
I know.
These little
You
things.
for that either.
No.
Like, I just thought having a baby, I thought maybe then when she's like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
But she has like her own personality, like
They do.
demands.
I think it's the girl thing too.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's scary though. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like, I only want to wear this, or I want this color bow. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Oh, she went to school the other day in pink rain boots and jeans and like a green shirt. And I was like, you know what? Roll.
Whatever. Yeah, you gotta pick your battles.
I'm going to. I mean, I'm sure she went to school a couple weeks ago, maybe it was a month ago now, because it was in October, in a Wonder Woman costume.
I love it.
Totally not weather appropriate. It was one of those like cold mornings in October, and she's in short sleeve skirt Wonder Woman. And I'm like, I'm just gonna pick my battles.
Yeah. That's all you can do, because you will not win that battle.
No, you won't. How have you, this has been a struggle for me, so I'm genuinely curious about this. How have you been able to work in your identity as a family person, as a mom into your firm?
I mean, I've struggled with this. I think probably all of us women have.
Yeah.
And I'm now recently at the point where I'm like, you know what? I've got to own who I am. Like, I love being a mom. I love it so much. But I also love working. And so that means that some days I'm not going to be there. Some nights I may miss things. I struggled with my husband typically takes our daughter to school in the morning. So there's been times where like he sets up the play dates, and like my internal struggle of like, I should be setting up the play date. Like these things, but it's like, no, in fact, that's great that he's doing that. And sometimes so it's just like being easier on yourself, I think.
Right.
And really just owning who you are.
Right. No,
it's hard.
You have to give yourself grace.
Yeah,
and
a lot of grace.
I can say that a lot easier than I can do it. I can tell people,
all are guilty of
just give yourself grace. And then, tonight I'm going to be at home and think that I got home too late, or I left too early, or I missed something at school or a play date that my husband handled. But I mean, thank goodness for involved dads.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
I don't know what I would do. Yeah. I mean, very, very thankful and, lucky in that department. But it's hard. It is hard, girl.
It is. I think it's a constant thing. People talk about, work-life balance, and they say it like it's something you can achieve and then just maintain. I think it's something I'm just always going to be working for.
Yeah. And I think depending on the week, and as you know, like if you're trying a case, those are weeks I'm not going to be there.
No.
And then other weeks you may have the ability to work from home or, whatever.
Right.
So it's just day by day.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I found myself when I'm trying a case, getting a hotel room.
Oh, that's good.
I make that face because I still feel guilty about it, but
that's smart.
There's just no other way, like, for me, because I feel like you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah.
And I need to be both feet into trial, right? And it makes sense when I'm trying a case in a different state or a different county, and it's like Henry County or something. Yeah. You don't want to drive down there every morning and drive home every night, or Gwinnett even. Right. Because we live pretty close to here, so that's like 45 minutes to an hour in the car both ways. But I haven't done it locally yet, even if I had one in Fulton County, but I've been thinking about it.
I've never thought of that locally, but it totally makes sense.
It's a different way to check out, right?
And you do have to be all in.
You do.
During those days of trial.
Trials are hard.
Yeah, I call it trial brain, where you're just like, don't ask me anything, I don't know. It's like this adrenaline for 5 days, and then, you just crash, but.
You do. And my husband, he's learned through many trials experiences at this point that don't ask me what I want for dinner because I can't make a decision. Yeah. And please don't ask me what to feed the kid. Just keep her alive. I will come out on the other end of this. I promise.
Yes.
I always do.
So true.
So one thing that I ask every guest that we have on Bird's Eye View is there someone out there that you or something you want to give the bird to? It's our thing here at the firm is giving the bird, and it's either giving it your all or standing up to something. Or just straight up giving somebody the bird.
Yeah.
Because, from time to time, somebody or something deserves it.
Yes.
So what would you give the bird to?
I've been spending my weekend thinking about this. And it really got me, I'm like, because there are people and there are things, especially in this world.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of what we've touched on, which is like, I'm giving the bird to this whole notion of like acting like you've got it all figured out, acting like you have it all together, or that life is, especially as women, like it's time we own our struggles. It's time that we're honest about it. Like we just did the holiday photos, right? Where everyone posts these like perfectly staged family photos. And for so long, I'm like, how do they have their outfits and their kid is perfectly, And it's like, no, like this was a struggle to do. And that's okay, Yeah. So I'm giving the bird to being perfect and to acting like you have it all figured out. Girl, my extensions need to be redone. It's a whole process to get here.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Right.
Like, that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. And you're here and we're going to own it. I mean, the last episode of the podcast that we filmed, my nails were half painted. They weren't done. And I had just not had a chance to get them done. Mm-hmm. And I had to own it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I am not put together today,
they look good.
but today they are done. Yeah. It's just impressive.
I got mine done for you yesterday, but mine, if you would have seen them yesterday, it was a nightmare. And I had 30 minutes. I was like, just do a quick, polish change. But
something. Yeah. I was scavenging for a nail polish remover at the studio before we filmed the last one. They didn't have any, and I was like, okay, here we go.
We are. We're owning it in 2024.
We're gonna own it. I love that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to steal that. I second giving the bird to having it all figured out.
Yeah, it doesn't exist.
It doesn't.
No.
And it's so fake if people portray that it does.
It is. And I also think, having daughters too, there's this notion that like people have the perfect body or the people perfect this, like that's work that goes into it. You know what I mean? And so I don't want to set my daughter up for failure or think that like you could have all of these things, but you're gonna have to work for it. It's gonna be hard, and you're gonna have to juggle things, and you're gonna have to struggle. But that's how you become resilient,
Right.
So we gotta own that stuff.
I totally agree with that. And one thing that has, of course, Everly's only 3, but these kind of things just run through my head, is what am I gonna do when she wants to be on social media? Yeah. Right. And we use social media for both of our firms, right?
Right.
And but so one thing that's been on my mind about this whole notion of it's easy and there are perfect people who have it all together has been when Everly wants to get on social media. Mm-hmm. Like when she is, Mommy, I want an Instagram, and I have to say, I don't think you're ready for that. And then getting but Mommy, you're on Instagram. Why can't I be? I don't know, am I crazy? Is that something you've thought about?
I have, and I don't know the answer, but I will say, so I'm a big Swiftie. I'm obsessed with Taylor Swift, okay? Everything Taylor Swift, and I promise you this has a point. So I was listening to Kylie Kelsey, is Jason, she's dating Travis. Yes. Jason's wife is Kylie, and she was saying, because they have 4 little girls, or 3 little girls, she was saying how they started saying the F word at home. And so, but she's like, I'm not gonna stop saying it. And
right.
But the way that she parents her kids is, there are certain things that parents can do that kids just can't. And I was like, oh, that's good.
That's very good.
So maybe for social media, it's just, you know what? I know it's unfair. Mm-hmm. Right now, you just can't. I know that sucks.
Right.
It kind of is what it is. But I was like, that's a good little
it's a good one.
Nugget.
Because I'm going to be honest, we've tried to censor ourselves at our house, but that hasn't worked. So it's only a matter of time before Everly starts dropping it.
We had it happen once recently.
Yeah.
I don't know where she got that.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't.
It's definitely the dads.
Every time.
It's the dads. Yeah. When she says shit, it's because of my husband, not me.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there was something that speaking of social media, that I saw on your social media I wanted to ask you about. You got a new office chair recently.
I did.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I had been eyeing this artist. She does like very cool, colorful art, and she uses resin and a lot of like fun glitter and stuff. So I've been seeing her for years, and I started years ago. I got 2 pieces of artwork like commissioned for the first time. It was a guy who does like this cool graffiti in Atlanta, and he did 2 pictures of Trayvon Martin for me. And it was the first time, I didn't grow up with art, you know what I mean? But it was like this graffiti Trayvon, and I put it in my office, and like, it was something about that piece that like has spoke to me. So like when I'm tired or like when I'm why am I doing this? Or I'm working late. And it's like looking at these pictures, it's like, this is why I do it. Like, and for Trayvon, for me, that was a pivotal case. I was in law school when that happened. It represents to me a lot about our system. And so anyway, so I'm like, oh my God, it just kind of connected me with art. And so in this, making this big shift, I was like, I want a really cool office chair.
Yeah.
And I want something that is me, that's colorful. I'm loud, I'm big, I'm tall, I'm all the things that growing up I tried to shy away from, right? Like,
yeah, you gotta own it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so why not get a bright pink, glittered out office chair? And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it, but I want it to be law related. And so on the back we have one of these really great MLK quotes. We've got some MLK quotes, and then we've got quotes on injustice. Injustice anywhere is a threat, or was it? Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
Yep.
That's what I have on the back.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of like a statement art piece, but also a really cozy, comfy office chair.
Yeah, I mean, it puts my like Costco office chair to shame, I'll tell you that. Because I saw it, I was like, wow, what a really cool way to express yourself in your office. And it's kind of that whole, you want to be comfortable in your home, so you make it your safe space. Well, you want to be motivated in your office, right?
Yes.
Because you're going to go in there and, I mean, quite frankly, you want to kick ass and take names and get justice for your clients. I mean, what a great way to motivate yourself.
Thank you.
I loved that chair. One of the first things I said to Rachel when we were talking about this episode is, I want to talk to her about the chair.
Yes.
Put that in the shot sheet, because I want to ask about this chair.
Yes, no, I love it so much. My kid loves it.
Yeah.
Everybody loves it. I'm like, get off my chair. This is not a toy.
Yeah, this is my chair. Do not mess up mommy's chair. Who is the artist?
Her name is Karen Schremer. She's in Florida, and she's got a really great social media following. She does like ottomans, she does chairs, she does canvas, wrapped canvas. I mean, really anything, but it's like very quirky, eclectic.
Yeah.
Different. I've just never seen anybody like her.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'd never seen anything like the chair, so I had to ask about it. We talked about your practice and you wanting to shift from criminal defense to doing more personal injury, and you mentioned that the Trayvon Martin case was pivotal in your journey as a lawyer. Tell me a little bit more about that. Why switch from criminal defense to PI, and how have you been able to continue with what you wanted to do as a lawyer by doing that?
Yeah, well, I mean, to start, the Trayvon case it happened in 2012. I was in law school, and it was the first time that I got like sort of an inside look at our legal system while something was breaking. And I'd always been interested in criminal, and had started interning at a prosecutor's office. But to see sort of what I think is the central element of some of the injustices in our system, which are this young black kid wearing a hoodie, we assume that he's doing something wrong, and he gets killed, going to get Skittles. And so I just feel like there's a lot of that, whether it's black men or whether it's women or trans people or immigrants. There's just, we sometimes cast people aside in our society.
Right.
And I see it in personal injury, people that, may not have the means, and the insurance companies treat them like crap or think they're making up claims when, like, my client's hurt. She didn't ask for this to happen. She didn't hit herself.
Right.
And so that's why I love the Trayvon case. I think it just stands for so much. And to answer your question as to why I got in PI, that's really it. I feel like as a plaintiff's lawyer, you really have the ability, one, to hand select your cases, but two, I think you get to try a case more intentionally, more strategically, and I think that's doing more ultimately for our clients.
Right.
In criminal, sometimes you don't know what's happening. Our system, you're getting a case as a prosecutor, you're overworked. As a criminal defense attorney, you're getting files and files thrown at you, and a lot of times your clients don't have the money to pay, so they can't pay to hire experts, they can't pay to hire the things that we have to get done, and so you're left really sometimes pleading people out because it's
just
really
where
their
you're
only
at.
option. Yeah.
Right. As a plaintiff's attorney, I feel like it gave me an avenue to give people a voice that wouldn't have one.
Yeah.
Right. And that's been really important to me too, because just like with insurance company and PI, we do mostly medical malpractice. And I find that even if the patients complain to the hospitals or like the administration, if they are a certain type of person from society, right? They don't have influence, they don't have money, they don't have power, they're gonna be pushed to the side.
Yeah.
They're gonna be ignored.
Yeah.
And that nothing gets me going more. I guess is the way to put that. Not that I don't fight for all of my clients, no matter what their means are, but when someone has really tried to speak up for themselves and gotten pushed to the side, which I know happens all the time with insurance companies, because insurance companies. Maybe we should give them the bird, but they do pay us. So at the same time, sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But yeah, it's frustrating. And, you know, there's all of these, I guess, administrative boards or organizations out there that are supposed to be fighting for patients, especially in the medical field. And I find that even they don't even fight. They want to protect the doctors, right? Unless there's some sort of press or big social media push that calls them to the mat, right? So speaking of calling people to the mat with social, have you been able to use or utilize your social media presence and following to influence any of your cases, or to not influence, but I guess get the word out there?
Definitely. I think we have a duty to do that, especially in some of the higher profile cases where there's one side of the story being told.
Right.
And that goes for whether you're a criminal defense lawyer, plaintiff's lawyer, whatever. I think you have an obligation to protect your client and to seek the truth and seek justice, and talking about it, I think, is part of that. Now, obviously, we don't ever want to taint a jury pool, but there are ways around that, and there are ways to do it tactfully and in a very smart way. And I don't think we have to do it in every case, but certainly I've done it in sexual assault cases that have happened while clients have been in custody. Or I've done it recently in a case where a client was a student who was actually beaten up by a teacher. And they weren't doing anything about it. The school didn't really do anything about it. And it really wasn't until we went public with it that now the teacher was fired, the teacher has been prosecuted, and have found out that this teacher has done this in other instances, has been violent. So it's just things like that that I think sometimes, unfortunately, like you said, insurance companies don't want to take things seriously until there's public pressure.
Yeah, the public pressure thing. And you know, it's not even, for me, and I assume the same for you too, it's not even to just get somebody's attention. It's also to, hey, PSA.
Right.
You know?
Especially in your world.
Yeah. Right. And for other students at that school.
For sure.
You know? I mean, that teacher didn't just have the one student in his or her class, right? Look, if the agencies and administrations in charge of keeping people safe aren't going to do it,
Right.
then we need to let everybody else know, hey, you could potentially be in danger because here is the wolf in sheep's clothing that is still, you know, holding themselves out as a physician or as a teacher of children or whatever the role might be, right? Have you ever had a defendant in a case come at you about social media or about talking about a case? I say come at you, that's probably the wrong way to put it, but I guess get their panties in a wad about it.
No, you know, I really haven't.
Yeah.
And maybe, I mean, knock on wood.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Normally,
you're gonna get your first cease and desist when you walk out of here.
But normally that decision, I don't know that I've ever made that decision without one consulting with the client. The client understands what's going on and really wants it. It's actually been opposite, where there's been times where the client has wanted to go to the media, and I've thought in that particular case, for whatever reason, I didn't think it was wise. That's normally where, if there's going to be a little bit of pushback, it's that.
Yeah.
But I never would make that decision without consulting my client.
Of course.
Be supportive.
What about the other side, the defense?
Oh, I'm sure they hate it.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Have they ever said anything about it?
No, they haven't.
Yeah.
They haven't. I'm sure that's coming though too.
Yeah, there was a physician up in Northwest Georgia, and I'm sure the fact that I'm still talking about it just gets under his skin, which is why I still do it. We ran a social media campaign because he had been called to the mat by the DOJ for Medicare and Medicaid fraud. And he was doing it to folks who had private insurance as well. And I mean, like, a dermatologist doing Mohs procedures, just taking more cuts of skin than he needed to because he can bill by cut.
Wow, that's crazy.
So we called him out. Wow. I get a cease and desist letter. And I'm like, for what? Telling the truth?
Right.
Literally, the DOJ had released an article about his $6.6 million settlement for doing this with Medicare and Medicaid. And I want to talk about, hey, if you're a patient of Dr. Chung, this could have happened to you too.
Yeah.
I was just baffled by that.
That's wild.
I guess when you're desperate, but it's not like I was lying about it.
No, and people again need to know.
They do.
And a lot of people don't know until they see the news and they're like, oh gosh, that was my doctor.
That was my doctor. I've got this horrendous scar. Maybe he shouldn't have taken all these cuts from my chest or my arm or my leg or whatever, or my face.
That's wild.
I know. There's just people out there, man.
Yeah.
Greed is such a motivator.
It is.
And it's why there have to be people like us.
Checks and balances.
Yes.
Yes, we're coming.
So I've noticed on social, one of your brand has been the Golden Lawyer.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so that was honestly something that a friend of mine years ago, like I think right when Instagram started, and I was like, ooh, what should my name be, you know? She's like, and we're like sitting at the beach in Miami getting tan, and she's like, well, you're real gold. My hair was like super blonde at the time. She's like, you're golden, the Golden Lawyer. You know, or golden, at the time it was Golden Lawyer Sarah, because I was starting law school. But, you know, since then it has kind of stuck, and, you know, I just think about what does gold really, you know, what does that evoke in people?
Yeah.
And it's more than just like gold, you know, the monetary or something superficial, but it's like when you think of sort of very concise, very deep, very serious matters, which is what we deal with. You know, we're going for the gold. Like we're going for what we can go for because my client's been hurt. So it's a little bit of everything. Some of it's just playful and fun though. People ask me that often, and I'm like, if only you knew this was like kind of a joke.
It was born on the beach in Miami.
I mean,
I love that.
Who would have known? But
I love that. Yeah. So I was never big into social, honestly, until I met Rachel and she told me I needed to be.
Yeah.
So
it's a thing.
It is. But it sounds like you've been doing it for a while. You did it in law school.
Yeah, I was doing it for fun. And still kind of am. You know, I remember the days when you'd post like your albums on Facebook, right? And so I've had the struggle of like, is this personal? Is this private? Is this professional? Like, where does the line go? And at this point now, I just do a little bit of everything. Again, kind of going with the theme of being open and honest. So a lot of my content is what I do. A lot of my content is my job. Some of it is, you know, my kid going crazy on a Saturday morning at 6 a.m. It's just a little bit of all of it. But I really want people to know when they hire me who they're getting. I think that's really important. And I think in law, we don't have that. There's like this fourth wall, this mysterious wall with lawyers that we've got to be so like this. And it doesn't mirror our society. No. You know, we don't do that really in any other area. And so as a lawyer, I want people to know who they're getting. I want them to know I'm a person, I'm a wife, I'm a mom. And so when I'm representing their loved one, they know that I care about them in that same way. Right. And so that's really why I do it that way.
I love that.
It's just important.
I struggled for a while when we started with social media of just wanting to be buttoned up, right? I'm like, no, I'm not doing anything playful or not serious. This is serious. What I do is serious. And I have done my best to get out of that because I think it plays into that.
And we're taught that too. Yeah. So, you know, again, grace. Give yourself grace. Because
I'm trying.
We're so taught that as lawyers. Like, we've got to be,
you know. We have to be very serious, and especially if you're a female lawyer in a male-dominated field, right? Don't you dare be a playful woman who can joke and not be perfect because you're never going to stand up to the man in his suit and tie.
Because you can only be one of those things. You can never be both. You can't be a great, smart, fierce lawyer and also be playful.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Heaven forbid. Like, you know, newsflash. I drink wine when I'm not pregnant. Newsflash. I drink wine. I'm not perfect. You know, there are mornings where my hair's not brushed, just not washed. My kid's in her pajamas until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That shit happens. Yeah. It's life, right?
Right. And you can also try a case and fight for your client. And, yeah.
They're not mutually exclusive.
No.
Yeah, no, I think that's so true. And it's so refreshing to sit down and talk to someone who is on the same journey, really, you know? So I really appreciate that. And someone that's honest about it.
Yes.
It's nice. It brings out transparency and honesty in me too, because sometimes it is still hard to talk about.
It is so hard. Yeah. I want to be, I want to be a soft spot for people to land. I didn't have that growing up.
Right.
It's hard. Again, it's still hard to do, but no, I appreciate you saying that.
No, well, it's been great having you on. Thank you so much. And I am looking forward to finishing this sentence with something that makes sense.
To be determined. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, because I don't know where that plane was landing. No, it's been great having you on. Thank you so much. I look forward to hopefully working with you in the future.
Absolutely.
And seeing you at some upcoming holiday stuff.
Yes. Thank you.
That's it for this edition of Bird's Eye View. Please like, follow, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode.